Welcome, welcome. My name is Trish. I've got the Forecaster Oracle up today to do a little bit of work with the and also the astrology charts and what's going on astrologically in the world at the moment. We have the eclipses, which are really relevant in September, and they're really just wreaking havoc with the collective energy. Now, as you know, a lot of us, we felt the change coming in August. We felt this energy or this shifting energy. And then in September, it just explodes with this collective energy of just complete chaos. So I wanted to take a look at the astrological reasons possibly for that. And I'm going to pull some cards with the Forecaster Oracle as I go. So getting into this reading, let me take a look at the time. I've just done another reading over on the other channel, which is Cosmic Trish. I had the astrology out at the end of that one, but I did a bit of work on what the shift really is on a spiritual level. So if you're looking for the spiritual aspect of, which I won't touch on too much here in this reading because we like to keep this one about what is really going on in the collective world events type thing. This is where we're going with this reading. So I've made lots of notes because I know there's the shift. I can feel it. I can feel something big coming. A lot of us can. And I'm trying to put my finger on what exactly it is. I think it's connected somehow to this shifting energy or the split, the division. We're seeing such division now. We've got these big changes in the planets. The outer planets, which are really fascinating, are Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, and they've all made changes recently. And I think in the generation, which means it's making big changes for the collective on a generational basis. So big changes, and they're very important because Pluto is all about, and I'll just briefly explain what this is before I get into the reading. Up here you can, and I'm pointing to it. Let me just put the mouse over here. I can point to it. So what we have over here is we're looking for Pluto. Pluto's down here. I'm just going to bring my screen up so I can see it a little bit better. Okay, Pluto's down here. It's 1 degrees of Aquarius where it's sitting. It's pretty much sitting on my ascendant at the moment. But I think I've kind of worked through some big changes because Pluto is about the planet of change and transformation. It brings changes and transformations. Now, what does this mean to the collective? Because don't forget, it's an outer planet. It's a generational planet. So on a collective, the other thing that Pluto represents is control. So it's all about self-control, getting your power back, trying to control others, dominance. It's all about control. That's what Pluto represents. So I think that's why it's really relevant and really important right now. So I might shuffle as I'm talking to you about Pluto first of all. Now, Pluto stays in a sign for a very long time. It's going to be in Aquarius for 20 years. It has recently just come from Capricorn, and I'm keeping this nice and basic for you so I can really accept the next phase. So we're in the next phase. Pluto going into Aquarius is representing the great change, the transformation of power. Now, Capricorn represents authority, it represents government, it represents the power structures. We had Pluto sitting in there, control, representing control. It is now passed over to Aquarius, a succession plan, the next phase, giving the power back to the people. That's what it is. Its intention is. Now, of course, it'll be kicking and screaming to release that power from the current structure system. But now you can kind of see and feel, and I just want to show you how looking at astrology can help you to understand what is going on the physical and maybe give a little bit of an explanation of what you're feeling or what we're going through at the moment collectively and how it can tie back into the planets. Because sometimes I get reassurance just knowing that this is, it's just what part of the plan, it's what's supposed to happen in order to bring us to a better outcome. Now, the big outer planets, they only have our highest intentions in mind. So as scary as they are transiting our personal spaces or different houses, collectively the big changes that we feel are when they move from sign to sign. So when the big change that came in first was Pluto moving out of the control structure, the government systems, the authoritarian systems, and moving into Aquarius, which is all about the collective, the community, the people. And we're moving that power structure, because that's what Pluto is, moving it into the hands of the people. Of course, it's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take a lot of resistance, I'm feeling. It is currently retrograding, so it does dip back into crossing over. So there's a bit of back and forth going on here, and I think that's why we can feel this energy shifting up and down. We can feel a shift. It's 20 years, of course, that it takes. It's slow moving, but there's going to be a lot of changes. And sometimes when I do the predictions, I'll look at the astrology as well to bring through some of the predictions. Now, it's going to bring a lot of changing energy to current power structures. Now, this can also incorporate the school system, this because they're in a position of authority on how they teach their children. I know here in Australia, we've been seeing on social media and the media, which is relevant, it comes up in the planets as well, and I will go through that. What is going on in the horrific things that have been going on in our preschools. So if you're faint of heart, don't look that up because it's horrific. But we're starting to see that now. We're starting to, and that's because of what's going on in Gemini. We've got the big disruptor Uranus. It's another one of the planets moving into Gemini. So I think that might be a good lead over now to Uranus, the other planet. Uranus is it rules Aquarius. I'm very aligned to Uranus energy. It's outside of the box. It's very unique. It's very genuinely just wants to put you in a position where you can be uniquely yourself, no matter how weird you are, and just not care what other people think. So where we've gone through, because you can see over here, it's 1 degree. 1 degree in Gemini. Gemini, as you know, is the twins, so we're talking about duality, so it's causing disruption because Uranus is a great disruptor. It wants to disrupt the status quo, disrupt what is not working for you anymore, collectively and personally. So it's got duality there because it's in Gemini, but Gemini also represents the mind. So it represents how we think about things, how we learn things. It represents social media, communication, and thought. So thinking. All of these things are changing. So we're seeing this energy around it's rebellion, standing up. This is why so many people are taking to the streets, because this is a planet that rules rebellion, revolution. And it's happening in our communications area, Gemini, in the sign of Gemini. So we're talking about how people engage with each other. We're really just uprising and rebelling with how this has taken place. Rebelling also when it comes to government power structures, as I went through when I talked about Pluto transitioning from the current power structure of authoritarianism, authority, governments, that kind of thing, into Aquarius, which represents the people. So we've got this playing out. Also, well, we've got Uranus in Gemini, so you can see where this tense energy is coming from. I just wanted to show you these things that are going on because they're really fascinating when it comes to what is really happening in the world right now and how the astrological charts are pointing directly to what is going on, what we're seeing with our own eyes. Now, the other thing that we're seeing with our own eyes is horrific crimes committed, filmed, and put on our screens for all of us to see, whether we have requested that or not. We're having to see these really graphic images, and part of this comes back to censorship. It's a censorship issue. Do we need censorship? It's the fight for, we want to bring in censorship. How do we make that happen? So we're being shown all these graphic images to say, okay, well, I think people will stand up and say, because we've got this rebellion energy, Pluto in Capricorn, now in Aquarius, wanting to stand up and make changes, take power back, being personally responsible, getting the power back to the people, but they're wanting to stand up here in a rebellious way with Uranus in Gemini, lashing out at communication, censorship, and social media. So this is, all why it's so relevant. So let's move over now to the other things. There's so much more going on. There's eclipses that are happening in September, which are also really significant and relevant. I go a little bit of detail in that over on the other channel. But if I just take a look at the other out of planet now, which will be, we've got Pluto done, we've got Uranus done, the great disruptor. We're then coming into Pisces. I focused in depth on Pisces on the other reading that I did on the Cosmic Trish channel, because Neptune's more spiritual. It's a spiritual planet. It's about blurring the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual. It's about dissolving the ego and getting more in touch with the spiritual side. So we have But it's more, there's more to it. It has moved from Pisces, which it rules, where it's all about the flow and those boundaries and that flowing energy, moving into a fire sign of Aries. So this is like wanting to break the illusions because it represents illusions. It wants to, and Aries is impulsive, it's fast moving, it's like fire energy. When you know your tarot, most of you know your tarot signs, your fire energy is fast moving energy, it's impulsive energy. It's energy that will stand up and fight. Now we've got that energy, that impulsiveness coming from Aries, Aries energy, which is Mars rules Aries, and Mars, as you know, it's the planet of battles and conflicts and competition, competitiveness. And here it's about Neptune sitting there. Neptune's flowy, it's water, it's kind of flowy energy, it's spiritual energy sitting in Aries, which is about fire, intensity, passion. And here you see wanting to break the illusion. So it's saying, let's do this collectively. Let's get in and get this done collectively. Let's stand up. Let's be rebellious. Let's take the fight to the streets. I'm not condoning this in any way. I'm just saying this is what the planets are representing. And this is why we're seeing this intense energy going on. So you're seeing the shift of dynamics coming from the power structures of Capricorn, where Pluto was in Capricorn, now moving into the power of the people in Aquarius. We're also seeing this wanting to disrupt the status quo and be rebellious in a very social way, in a communicated way, when it comes to social media and dualism and division, because we have the twins there as well. So you can see how that's playing off. And then we have this energy of wanting to see through the facade, the opportunity of the facade collapsing, the system of power, the structure, what we've been through, what we are in, and the truth about the reality around us that we've had our eyes closed to. So it's opportunities for awakening here, seeing the truth, seeing past the illusion, and being in Aries, it's like, let's get this done now. Let's get through this. Let's get in and face it. Let's break down the walls, break down the illusions that's taking place here. So these big planets all move recently, all creating this great burst of energetic towards the people. And that's why the people are feeling it. So just wanted to share that with you so you could see what's going on collectively and how those big planets are playing out. So the other thing that's really important that I wanted to talk about here is the retrograde, the eclipses. We've got the eclipses in eclipse season in September. Now I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's coming up in October also. So I'll put that at the end. A little bit of intensity there as well in October, but we've got we're right in the thick of it right now with September. So I wanted to share the astrological placement so you can kind of understand why we're in the thick of this energy. It continues, these, as they say, in planets, or they stay in houses or signs for a very long time. So Pluto, as I said, 20 years in Aquarius. So it's going to be shifting us around in Aquarius into that energy over the next 20 years. But because we've got that disruptor taking place in Gemini, which is Uranus, and then we have this energy of Aries and Neptune in Aries, that's quite impulsive. So it wants to really get in there and fight and make these changes and see through the illusions. So it really, really fascinating, I think, to explain what is going on in the world right now. Now, because everything's just blown up recently, we've got the eclipses that are taking place. We had that blood moon in Pisces. Pisces represents illusion. It represents spirituality. But then we've got it in Virgo. So Virgo, it's on the axis of Virgo and Pisces. Now, the set of, they come in pairs. The cyclones, they're not cyclones, they're eclipses. They always come in pairs. They come in sets where they'll go on the axis. So they'll come in Pisces, and then they're going to come on the opposite side because it's where the moon and sun travels around. It'll be opposite in Virgo, and Virgo represents body, so it represents earth, it's the physical, and Neptune represents the flowing energies of the universe, it's the spiritual. So we've got that axis of body and spirit here. This is what's playing out with this spiritual warfare that we're really feeling on a physical foundation or in the physical realm. So that's really also important as well. So let's pull a couple of cards now. Okay, so I've just changed the screen now so I can make the card side bigger. Okay, so September 25. It's cosmically intense. The energy of these transits that I've just gone through, they're screaming at the collective energy, and that's why we're feeling it, and that's why we're seeing all this intense energy everywhere. So it's not just about the eclipses, it's also about the big major planets, but there is other transits taking place at the moment as well. We have Mars in Cancer where it's debilitated. That plays a part of that situation. So we've got this what I just went through explains why we have this explosive collective energy. Now it is resulting in you can think about that in a very practical as way. We're seeing physical explosions. We're seeing that between countries. So this is why there's such intense energy because of these placements. So moving on, we've had that blood moon, as I said, in Pisces. It's now moving into Virgo. Virgo represents the body, it represents the physical, it represents the earth. As I said, the earth. This is the earth card here as well. Strategic pivot. So it's pivoting from that spiritual energy of the spiritual warfare and the spiritual energy of Pisces. I feel it was all about dissolving. What I went through with the Pisces was about dissolving feelings of resentment, feelings of having to need to forgive, feelings of past traumas that we're hanging on to. So I thought that blood moon was really significant time for dissolving boundaries or blurring the lines between the physical and the spiritual, but also releasing and letting go of some of the emotional ties because it's a blood moon. It's about the moon energy, which of course is feelings and our emotions. So I feel it was about dissolving because Neptune represents dissolving and Neptune rules Pisces. So that's how I feel that one was significant. Now, coming into the next eclipse in Virgo, we've got a solar eclipse or a partial solar eclipse in Virgo. Virgo represents the body. It represents the earth. It's good for, making this, getting organized, but also about our own health and our well-being. So I feel we're going to feel it more on a physical plane, very physical, where we felt the blood moon on a spiritual or a emotional level. I feel we're really going to have this reckoning on a earth energy, which we may feel it in earthquakes or volcanoes. It's going to be a reckoning on the earth, but also on the the physical plane. It's going to be a reckoning on the physical plane. Sorry, I want to make that clear. We're pivoting from the spiritual earlier in the month with the lunar eclipse, blood moon eclipse, into the partial solar eclipse, pivot to be more about earth or physical matters. So that's what I think is coming. Now, there'll be some rebuilding to do after the to recover from this energy, and there'll be maybe even some real physical rebuilding to do with some aftermath of some damages done in the end of September. Now, as I said, with this energy, what I can predictively see moving forward over the next few years would be a complete change to this system of education as I went through, but I also feel the judicial system. We may find some energy over the next few years of changes to that situation. Now, it's saying we've got escalating conflict, intensity rising. The energy may become upheaval. So predictably, it's saying around this eclipse, this partial solar eclipse, we're looking at energy of upheaval, chaos, more turbulence. This is the air turbulence which talks about cyclones. I don't think it is cyclones, but this is saying cyclones. But it could just be talking about the turbulent upheaval and chaos energy, the escalating conflicts and the escalating intensity that will be rising around the time of the partial solar eclipse. So also I feel when I said there's going to be changes predictably also taking place in the education system around maybe the fertility, around preschool. As I said, I feel like changes, and that's already starting to be implemented. Okay, so let's ask the cards a question. So what I'm focusing on is eclipses, the energy and the uprising around the eclipses, the sense of shift or feeling of division that's going to be intensified. I did talk a little bit on the other channel about division and why that is relevant, what's happening there. I think it's Uranus, the rebellious planet of Uranus in the planet of sign of the twins. I think that's causing some of the division. I think the split or the shift is representing division, whether it's between awakening and just getting lost within the system, or whether it's division on a very physical way between countries, between people, between ideals. Really highlighted by this energy that's going on between Pluto moving into Aquarius, but also Uranus moving into Gemini, recent moving. So let's pull a card spread, because this has been an astrological look, but we have to look at, of course, the forecaster oracle, because I'm testing. Question I'm asking the forecaster oracle, we've got the eclipses, we've got uprising, we've got shifting energy. Could this be an astrological reckoning for the earth, or the physical, or the people? Let's take a look at the cards that pop out for that. Got some power plays at hand. I do feel spiritually, I talked about on the other channel, there is power plays. It's really happening here at the moment. We've got targeted strikes, deliberate attacks. We've seen that happening already. Possibly could see more targeted attacks or strikes predictably, because this is a forecaster oracle, but we're talking about the whole energy of what's going on right now in September. It's a data dump, information surge. We're getting, could be about censorship, dumping information, and all. Again, I'm feeling this card here is representing how we've been seeing the graphicness of what's happened recently, both with Charlie Kirk and Irina on the train, the Ukrainian 23-year-old female, all these graphic videos of their passing. So, and really it's, we've got this information surge, a data dump. It's really been bombarded on us. Does it affect us having to, see these things? And then we question about, is censorship needed? So these things are being highlighted. So maybe it's part of a plan to show us that censorship is needed. So you can see where this is going, these targeted strikes to show this, and showing it, data dumping, showing all this information, these visual graphic things on our social media. And, maybe it's part of a power play or a tactical maneuver to connect it here. Or maybe it's about taking advantage of the situation to bring in censorship, or to bring in, they're using the targeted strike and the information surge as part of a way that they can power play this and tactically maneuver it into censorship. So that's what these cards wanted to talk about there. So thank you so much for joining me. Just wanted to really just touch in and see what's going on astrologically, and show you why the planets are really just giving us a really good validation of what we're feeling, but also what's going on in the world. Now, sneak peek as to what's coming up in October. If you think about September cracking the veil, the rebellion energy really trying to see through the illusions of what's going on, think about October testing us about what we do with this truth, or what's been revealed to us. So here we're seeing the tests in October, because we have some eclipses coming in October. They're opening portals again in October. Now this is going to be on the axis of Libra versus Aries. This is where this is going to collide. Now that axis represents us versus them, or me versus you, or I versus us. So Aries is very me, self-aware, self thinking about yourself. It's selfishness, maybe, in a very negative trait way. But Libra's about balance and us, and relationships and connections, and the balance of harmony between people. But whereas then we've got that energy of I want to think about myself. I want to put myself forward. It's that kind of selfishness versus connections and thinking about others. So we're having this dynamic of eclipses playing out on that axis. So that's going to be quite challenging. So that's coming up in October. Let's pull a little card about those set of eclipses and how that is going. That's in motion, is developing. That energy of us versus them, or like my ideals versus the collective ideals, or having to merge and harmonize, which is Libra energy, against I want things my way, I want to be heard, what I say is important kind of energy. So this is already starting to play out. Now we've got some rebuilding that will be necessary. So we're rebuilding, and I feel that comes into what we do with the information or knowledge or what's revealed to us in September with the eclipse portals in September, being that what it cracks a veil, it allows us to see some reality of what's really going on in the world. What do we do with that? October will let us know. So much for watching. I will be back again in October with another astrological update. I hope you enjoyed this one.